On the southwest coast of Africa lies a country shaped by emptiness. A place of deserts, endless skies, and silence so deep it almost feels unreal. This is Namibia, one of the driest nations on Earth. A country where massive sand dunes rise like mountains. Where towns can sit hundreds of kilometers apart. And where life exists in constant negotiation with heat, distance, and water. To outsiders, Namibia often looks untouched. Remote. Almost abandoned. But people do live here. And daily life in this harsh landscape is far more complex than many imagine. Because beneath the dramatic scenery is a country built on adaptation, resilience, and learning how to survive in one of the planet's most unforgiving environments. The first thing you notice about Namibia is space. Huge open land stretches endlessly in every direction. Roads disappear into the horizon. The sky feels enormous. And silence dominates much of the country. Population density here is among the lowest in the world. Large parts of Namibia feel almost empty. But that emptiness shapes daily life. Distance affects everything. Travel, work, access to services, community. Even basic routines can involve long journeys. Much of Namibia is desert or semi-desert. The famous Namib Desert is considered one of the oldest deserts on Earth. Its towering red dunes are instantly recognizable. But beyond the beauty lies a difficult reality. Water is limited. Rainfall is unpredictable. And temperatures can become extreme. In some areas, survival itself depends on careful planning around natural resources. People think constantly about water, storage, usage, availability. Because in dry environments, water shapes everything. Despite the harsh climate, Namibia has a surprisingly calm rhythm of life. Cities like Windhoek feel orderly and quiet compared to many large urban centers. Traffic exists, but life moves at a slower pace. People tend to speak softly, move deliberately. There is less intensity in daily interaction. The atmosphere often feels spacious both physically and socially. Outside the cities, life becomes even more connected to land and environment. Farming remains important across much of the country, especially cattle farming. Ranch life in Namibia can involve enormous distances and deep isolation. Some farms stretch across vast areas of dry land. Daily work revolves around animals, fencing, water systems, and weather conditions. It is demanding work, practical work, and heavily dependent on nature. Community remains extremely important in rural areas. Because distances are so large, people rely heavily on local networks. Neighbors may live far apart physically, but social ties remain strong. Families often maintain close connections across generations. Support systems are essential, especially during droughts or difficult economic periods. Namibia is also culturally diverse. Different ethnic groups maintain distinct traditions, languages, and identities. The country includes communities such as the Ovambo, Herero, Himba, Nama, Damara, and many others. Languages shift across regions. Clothing traditions vary. Customs differ depending on local history and environment. This diversity shapes daily life throughout the country. Some of Namibia's most recognizable communities are semi-nomadic groups living in extremely dry regions. Their lifestyles are closely connected to livestock, survival knowledge, and environmental adaptation. In places where outsiders see emptiness, local communities see familiarity. They understand the land deeply, the climate, Animal behavior. Water sources. Movement patterns. Knowledge passed through generations becomes essential for survival. Food in Namibia reflects practicality and environment. Meat plays a major role in many diets, especially beef and game meat. Meals are often simple but filling. In urban areas, modern supermarkets exist alongside traditional markets and local food culture. Cooking styles vary depending on region, income, and cultural background. But across the country, food is closely tied to availability and environment. One of the most striking things about Namibia is how strongly nature remains present in daily life. Wildlife exists far beyond national parks. People grow up understanding the environment differently here. Animals are not distant concepts. They are part of reality. In some areas, elephants, lions, and other wildlife move close to farming communities. This creates both beauty and tension, because coexistence with nature is not always easy. Tourism has become an important part of Namibia's economy. Visitors arrive seeking dramatic landscapes, safaris, and remote adventure. Places like Etosha National Park attract travelers from around the world. Tourism creates jobs and infrastructure. But daily life for residents remains very different from the tourist experience. Because outside the famous landscapes is ordinary life. School. Work. Bills. Family. Routine. Technology and modern infrastructure exist across much of Namibia, but access varies greatly depending on region. Urban areas are connected and modern in many ways. But remote communities can face major limitations. Internet access. Healthcare. Transport. Electricity. Distance makes infrastructure expensive and difficult to maintain across such a large country. This creates uneven realities between urban and rural life. Young people in Namibia often balance traditional expectations with modern ambitions. Education is increasingly important. Many young Namibians move towards cities searching for opportunity. Jobs. University. Business. At the same time, connections to family and traditional culture remain strong. People often live between two worlds. Modern urban life and older community structures existing side by side. The climate remains one of the country's greatest challenges. Drought can affect huge areas for years. Farming becomes difficult. Water supplies become strained. Economic pressure increases. People living here understand uncertainty deeply because rainfall itself can determine entire seasons of survival. When rain finally comes after long dry periods, it changes everything. Land transforms quickly. Grass returns. Animals recover. Communities feel relief immediately. Nature controls life here in a very direct way. And yet, despite the harshness, many people describe Namibia as peaceful. The lack of overcrowding creates calm. The open landscapes create mental space. The slower rhythm of life feels different from much of the modern world. There is less pressure, less noise, less constant movement. For some people, this environment feels freeing. For others, isolating. Because living with this much space changes how people think and feel. One thing many outsiders misunderstand about Namibia is assuming emptiness means absence of life. But life here exists everywhere, adapted carefully to the environment. People build routines around heat, distance, and scarcity. Communities survive through cooperation and resilience. Daily life continues quietly beneath the enormous desert sky. So why do people stay? Why build lives in such a dry and demanding place? Because for many Namibians, this land is more than harsh environment. It is identity, memory, home, the silence, the desert, the openness. These things become emotionally meaningful. People feel connected to the land in deep ways that outsiders often struggle to understand. Living in Namibia means understanding limits. Limits of water, of climate, of distance. But it also means understanding resilience, patience, adaptation, the ability to continue despite difficult conditions. And in many ways, that quiet resilience defines the country itself. This is Namibia. A place of deserts, vast silence, and extraordinary survival. A country where life continues under some of the driest conditions on Earth. Not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily. Beneath endless skies and shifting sand.